Rome's story begins with legend. Twin brothers Romulus and Remus, sons of Mars, abandoned on the Tiber's banks. A she-wolf rescued and nursed them, forever linking the animal to Rome's identity. Raised by a shepherd, the twins grew strong, learned their royal heritage, and overthrew the usurper king. They restored their grandfather, then set out to found a new city on the 7 hills near the Tiber, a site chosen for its natural defenses and trade access. But ambition divided them. Romulus favored the Palatine Hill, Remus the Aventine. Seeking a sign from the gods, they quarreled over auguries. Romulus saw more vultures and the dispute turned deadly. In a fit of rage, Romulus killed Remus, a dark act that would haunt Rome's mythic origins. Romulus became the city's first king, naming it after himself in 753 BC. He established Rome's first institutions and populated it by welcoming exiles and orchestrating the abduction of the Sabine women. While archaeology shows earlier settlements, this myth gave Romans a sense of destiny and unity. The story of Romulus and Remus, with its themes of ambition, violence, and divine favor, set the tone for Rome's future. Rome's foundation myth was more than a story. It was a declaration of greatness. The city's legendary birth would echo through centuries, shaping Roman identity. From these bloody beginnings, Rome would rise to dominate the ancient world. Rome's early centuries were ruled by kings, 7 in all, who established core institutions like the Senate. The monarchy ended in 509 BC when the last king, Tarquinius Superbus, was overthrown for tyranny. Romans vowed never to be ruled by a king again, founding the Republic, a government led by 2 annually elected consuls and the Senate. The Republic faced constant wars with neighbors, Etruscans, Samnites, and Latin tribes, testing its resilience. Through military strength, alliances, and extending citizenship, Rome unified the Italian peninsula. Expansion brought Rome into conflict with Carthage, leading to the Punic Wars. Hannibal's invasion nearly broke Rome, but ultimately, Rome destroyed Carthage and became master of the Western Mediterranean. Conquest brought wealth and turmoil. Generals like Marius, Sulla, Pompey, and Julius Caesar vied for power, plunging Rome into civil war. Caesar's rise and assassination in 44 BC shattered the Republic. After more conflict, his adopted son Octavian, later Augustus, emerged as Rome's first emperor. The Republic was gone. The empire had begun. Rome's transformation from city-state to empire was marked by ambition, violence, and innovation. The stage was set for Rome's golden age. Augustus's reign launched the Pax Romana, 2 centuries of peace and prosperity. Augustus reformed the army, government, and tax system, creating a stable foundation for the empire. The empire stretched from Britain to Mesopotamia, uniting up to a quarter of the world's population. Roman law, currency, and infrastructure bound the vast territories together. Legions secured the borders, enabling trade and cultural exchange. Roads in the Mediterranean, Rome's Mare Nostrum, connected the empire, fueling commerce. Grain from Egypt, wine from Gaul, and luxury goods from the east flowed into Rome. This era saw a golden age of literature, engineering, and urban development. Cities across the empire adopted Roman customs, language, and architecture. Romanization created a shared identity, uniting diverse peoples under imperial rule. The Pax Romana was Rome at its height, secure, prosperous, and culturally vibrant. But beneath the surface, challenges loomed. The Roman army was the backbone of the empire, disciplined, professional, and relentless. A legion, 5,000 strong, was a machine of conquest and order, its soldiers trained for 25 years of service. Legionaries wore standardized armor, carried the gladius and pilum, and mastered formations like the testudo. Auxiliaries, non-citizen troops, brought specialized skills archers, cavalry, and slingers from across the provinces. Service in the auxiliaries offered a path to Roman citizenship, helping integrate conquered peoples. The legions were also builders, constructing roads, bridges, and fortifications like Hadrian's Wall. When not at war, soldiers built the infrastructure that held the empire together. The army's discipline and engineering left a legacy in stone and law. Rome's military might was not just about conquest, it was about creating order and unity. The promise of citizenship and reward bound the provinces to Rome. The legion's presence shaped every corner of the empire. Rome's power rested on iron, discipline, and the promise of belonging. The army's legacy endures in the ruins and roads of Europe. Life in Rome was a study in contrasts. Luxury for the elite, hardship for the masses. The wealthy lived in lavish domus, while most Romans crowded into dangerous, cramped insulae. To keep the city stable, emperors provided free grain, bread, and spectacular entertainments, circuses. The grain dole fed hundreds of thousands, requiring vast imports from Egypt and North Africa. Public games in the Colosseum and Circus Maximus offered chariot races and gladiator fights, uniting all classes in spectacle. These events reinforced the emperor's power and distracted the restless poor. The Forum was Rome's bustling heart, where politics, business, and social life converged. Public baths, thermae, were social hubs offering exercise, relaxation, and community for a small fee. The baths, games, and grain dole were tools of control and cohesion. Rome's urban life was vibrant, chaotic, and carefully managed. The city's scale and diversity were unprecedented in the ancient world. Bread and circuses kept the peace but masked deeper tensions. Rome's greatness depended on managing its people as much as its armies. Gladiators were the superstars of Rome. Slaves, prisoners, and volunteers trained for brutal combat. Most were not doomed criminals but skilled fighters educated in specialized schools. Gladiators came in many types: Murmillo, Thraex, Hoplomachus, and the agile Retiarius, each with unique weapons and tactics. Fights were dramatic but not always to the death. Owners valued their investment and the crowd's will often decided a loser's fate. A victorious gladiator could win fame, fortune, and even freedom, symbolized by the wooden rudis. The games celebrated Roman values, courage, skill, and the willingness to face death. For spectators, the arena was a place to confront mortality and witness the power of the state. Gladiators, though low-born, could achieve heroic status through violence. The games reinforced social order and imperial authority. The spectacle was both entertainment and a tool of control. The Colosseum's roar echoed Rome's appetite for power and blood. The gladiator's legacy endures as a symbol of Rome's contradictions, brutality, and glory. In the arena, life and death became public theater. The Colosseum, Rome's greatest arena, was a marvel of engineering and spectacle. Built by the Flavian emperors, it replaced Nero's private lake with a monument for the people. The Colosseum could seat up to 80,000, with tiered seating reflecting Rome's social hierarchy. A retractable awning, the Valerium, shielded spectators from the sun. Beneath the arena, the Hippodrome's tunnels and elevators staged dramatic entrances for gladiators and beasts. The inaugural games lasted 100 days, featuring wild beast hunts, executions, and gladiatorial combat. Morning venaciones pitted hunters against exotic animals. Midday brought public executions. Afternoons belonged to the gladiators. The Colosseum's shows were brutal, varied, and unforgettable. For over 4 centuries, it was the heart of Roman entertainment and imperial propaganda. The arena's bloodshed reflected Rome's values and anxieties. The Colosseum remains a symbol of Rome's ambition and appetite for spectacle. Here, the power and paradox of Rome played out before the world. The Pax Romana faded as Rome entered crisis in the 3rd century AD. Political chaos erupted. Dozens of emperors rose and fell in rapid succession. Civil wars drained resources and weakened the frontiers. Economic decline followed. Inflation soared as currency was debased and trade networks faltered. Plagues killed millions, shrinking the population and workforce. External threats intensified. Germanic tribes pressed the northern borders, while the Sasanian Persians attacked from the east. The overstretched armies struggled to defend the empire on all fronts. In 286 AD, Diocletian split the empire into east and west, hoping to restore order. The Tetrarchy brought temporary stability but formalized a division that would become permanent. The wealthier, urbanized east centered on Constantinople. The rural west grew vulnerable. Rome's unity was fracturing under mounting pressures. The Golden Age was over. Survival became the new challenge. The cracks in Rome's foundation would soon become chasms. The division of the empire set east and west on separate paths. The Eastern Empire, Byzantium, would endure for centuries, but the West spiraled into decline. The Western army relied on Germanic mercenaries, eroding loyalty and control. The arrival of the Huns triggered massive migrations. The Goths crushed Rome at Adrianople in 378 AD. Rome's aura of invincibility was shattered, and invasions multiplied. The 5th century saw the West fragment as Germanic kingdoms replaced Roman rule. The Visigoths and Vandals sacked Rome, and the empire's authority shrank to Italy. In 476 AD, the last emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by Odoacer, a symbolic end to the Western Empire. The imperial insignia was sent to Constantinople. Rome's long reign was over. The fall was gradual, a slow collapse from within and without. Yet Rome's legacy endured in law, language, and culture. The city's story became the foundation of Western civilization. Rome fell, but its shadow still shapes our world.